Hey, bud. Come, boy.
Celso Poot is the new director of the Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center. He has spent the last 25 years at the zoo, and for the past 13 years, he has served as the operations and finance manager. It's a role that's a natural fit for Poot, but it's also a challenging time as revenues are down by almost 80%. But Poot says that they will pivot and weather the tough times with the help of their strategic plan.
In February of 2020, we completed our strategic plan. And sadly, due to the pandemic, we have to revisit that. So one of the first things I need to do is to look at the strategic plan, look at some of the activities we had proposed, the objectives, and see how we can revisit them and look for new direction.
And as he takes up the mantle to lead the Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center into a new chapter of leadership, Poot says that the future of the zoo will be guided by years of planning with committed people at the helm. And when you visit the zoo, you will be greeted by the same native animals you've come to know and love.
We're going to stick with all our natural native animal. You know, some people are already asking, so are you guys going to bring in exotic animals? Because a lot of people know that Sharon was totally against exotic animals. Don't expect to see any lions or tigers. You want continue to see your jaguar, your tapir, your toucan, your scarlet macaw, and just the nature of how the zoo go about housing these animals. You know, our animals are injured animals. Our animals are animals that are confiscated by the government because people have them in small areas. They are ill-treated. Animals that are injured, found on the road, brought to the zoo for care, health. And some of these animals we release back into the wilds. The ones that are unable to be released, we keep them at the zoo for educational ambassadors.
And research and conservation work will be re-energized under this new leadership at the Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center.
The plan is to move the zoo towards a center of conservation science. People usually see zoo as an amusement park with collection of animals where you come and recreate. And rightly so, because we do create connection, we do create bond with these animals when we visit zoos and parks. But the role of zoos now is more to help with conservation of endangered species. So we at the Belize Zoo, even before, like within the last 5 years, have begun focusing on landscape conservation. As we see the forests in Belize, the wildlife habitat are disappearing, more and more the importance of the Belize Zoo and zoos in general are being recognized because we provide, for example, we provide breeding possibility for animals that are critically endangered. This is something that is big in larger zoos where animals are bred and released back into their former range. Animals that are extinct in the wild, they're released back into the wild. So the zoo can start playing that role here in Belize in terms of wildlife conservation. So moving the zoo towards a center for conservation science means we'll be doing more research. So looking at what are the factors influencing some of these species in the wild. What is working towards the protection of these species? What can we do for people to live in harmony with wildlife?
But while Poot's vision for a bold and exciting chapter at the best little zoo takes shape, he promises that visitors can look forward to a dynamic experience that brings education and fun at the forefront of the visit. It's built into the principles that will remain to honor founding director Sharon Matola's vision.
The Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center was built for the Belizean people. To bring the people of Belize closer to the animals, closer to the wildlife of Belize. You know, when people appreciate, when people learn and understand the role the animals play in their lives through ecosystem services and other roles, then they'll be able to appreciate and care for and advocate for the protection and conservation of these wildlife. And basically that is what the Belize Zoo and Tropical Education Center is all about.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.